So when I'm talking about the childhood, first of all, you had very, very little money. You were a very poor family.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 20 rags to riches stories.
Which is unusual when you think about their economic situation.
We were really poor, and
Right.
I had money.
For this list, we'll be looking at famous celebrities who were struggling to pay the bills before rising to fame and wealth. Which of these stories do you find inspiring? Let us know in the comments. Number 20, Sean Combs. Most people know Puff Daddy as a rapper, but he's so much more than that.
Can't nobody take my pride. Can't nobody hold me down. Oh no.
Diddy founded his own record label, Bad Boy Records, back in 1993. He's also the producer of various TV shows and owns his own clothing label, Sean John. Today, he's worth an estimated $740 million.
I call all the shots, rip all the spots, rock all the rocks, cop all the drops.
But the Harlem-born Sean Combs had a difficult upbringing. When he was just 2, his father, who worked as a drug dealer, was shot dead. Luckily, Diddy's life took a different course. After attending Howard University and interning at Uptown Records, he began a prosperous career in music.
We ain't going nowhere. Ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now, 'cause it's bad boy for life.
Number 19, Halle Berry. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, Berry had a tough childhood. Her father was violent towards her mother, and the two divorced when Berry was 4. She lost all contact with him, and she and her sister Heidi were raised by their single mother.
Billy, I've been trying to get here. I need this money. I'm finna lose my house.
Understandably, money was tight, but Berry excelled in school, becoming not only the prom queen, but also an honor student and editor of the Bedford High newspaper. Berry's money struggles continued when she moved to New York to pursue acting, and she briefly lived in a homeless shelter.
Wait, hold on, what? You homeless and you ain't fit.
Happily, she found considerable success after moving to LA, and is now worth an estimated $90 million.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think about that?
Depends.
Number 18, Sylvester Stallone. Although born in Hell's Kitchen, New York, this legendary action hero grew up in Washington, D.C., where his father ran a beauty school and his mother a women's gym. If Stallone had a steady upbringing, it collapsed when he pursued acting. At one point, Stallone found himself homeless and sleeping in New York's Port Authority bus terminal. He later took on odd jobs and found acting work in an adult movie, for which he was paid just $200.
I needed your help about 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago. You never helped me. You didn't care.
In a power move, Stallone then wrote Rocky and shopped it to producers with the caveat that he play the lead role. It eventually paid off, and Stallone became a bona fide movie star worth about $400 million. Number 17, Kelly Clarkson. Easily the most successful American Idol contestant, Kelly Clarkson was raised as a Southern Baptist in Burleson, Texas, where she attended church twice a week.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this.
When she was 19, Clarkson moved out to Los Angeles and desperately tried to break into music, but was denied by nearly every record label.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Stand a little taller.
She returned to Burleson with her head hung low and began working various odd jobs, like cocktail waitress and telemarketer. Luckily, her friend heard about this new show called American Idol, which was holding auditions in Dallas. They convinced Clarkson to try out, and the rest is history.
I can't breathe for the first time. I'm so moving on, yeah.
Clarkson has since sold 45 million singles. Number 16, Mila Kunis. This actress was born in Soviet Ukraine to prosperous parents, but seeing no future for their children there, they decided to emigrate to the United States. The family arrived in Los Angeles in 1991 with just $250 to their name, which is all they were allowed to take with them.
Really?
Yeah.
That place was a pain in the ass.
Despite this, Kunis' parents were able to establish a good life for their children.
I love you. I love you.
Oh my God, no, not so loud.
I love my baby so much.
Her father enrolled her in acting classes, and her breakthrough came in 1998 when she landed the role of Jackie Burkhart on That 70s Show.
Oh, good. Thank you for telling me, Michael.
Today, her estimated net worth is around $75 million. Number 15, Jennifer Lopez. J-Lo can do it all. Her movies have grossed over $3 billion, and she sold 70 million records. She's now on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and is worth an estimated $400 million. But this wealth came from humble beginnings. Born in 1969, Lopez was raised in the Castle Hill neighborhood of the Bronx, where she shared a bedroom with her two sisters.
Now people loving me and hating me, treating me ungratefully, but not knowing that they ain't making or breaking me.
After dropping out of college to pursue dance, her mother kicked her out and they stopped speaking. Now homeless, Lopez spent months sleeping in the dance studio's office. Fortunately, she found work as a professional dancer and embarked on her now iconic career.
Waiting for tonight, oh, when you would be here in my arms.
Number 14, Marilyn Monroe. As Marilyn Monroe, Norma Jean Mortensen became a household name.
You kind of like that song, don't you, Mrs. Lewis?
There isn't any other song.
However, things could have gone differently. Her biological father remains unknown, and her mother, who suffered from paranoid schizophrenia, had a mental breakdown when Mortensen was 7. Mortensen became a ward of the state and lived with several foster families.
Story of my life. I always get the fuzzy end of the lollipop.
At 16, to avoid returning to the orphanage, she married 21-year-old factory worker James Doherty, dropping out of high school and becoming a housewife. A part-time modeling career soon led to acting contracts, however. Adopting the stage name Marilyn Monroe, she became a pop culture icon.
Ooh, do you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
Number 13, Shania Twain. Born Eileen Edwards, Twain had a tough upbringing.
Looks like we made it. Look how far we've come, my baby.
At the age of 8, she was singing in local bars to help support her hungry family. At home, her mother Sharon and stepfather Jerry had violent arguments. Fleeing Jerry's abuse, they briefly lived in a homeless shelter in Toronto before returning home to Timmins, Ontario. In 1987, both Twain's parents died in a car accident, and she moved back home to take care of her siblings.
You raised them,
I didn't
didn't
raise them, no. I mean, they moved in with me for a couple of years after my parents died, and we kind of all bunked together and took care of each other.
Not giving up on her dreams, however, she went on to release her debut album 6 years later, becoming one of the best-selling musical artists of all time, with an estimated net worth of about $400 million.
The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun.
Number 12, Dolly Parton. This legendary country artist from Tennessee was the fourth of 12 children.
Well, I'm gonna need one too.
Well, I am going to paint my front door red and change my name to Elizabeth Arden.
She said her family was dirt poor, although she has happy memories. Her father ran a small tobacco farm and her mother cared for the 12 children in a one-bedroom cabin. All 14 family members lived inside the cramped space and fed themselves through subsistence farming.
I guess it's good to test your nerves. You know how strong you are if you have to go through a thing like that.
At just 18, Parton moved to Nashville and began a career in country music, working her family's experiences into her songs.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
Today, she sold 100 million records. Number 11, Snoop Dogg. Calvin Cordozar Brodus Jr.'s father left the family 3 months after his birth, and his mother and stepfather divorced when he was 4. Growing up in Long Beach, he did what he could to help the family, like bagging groceries and delivering newspapers.
From the depths of the sea, back to the block, Snoop Doggy Dogg Funky gets the doc.
In his teens, however, Snoop started associating with the Rollin' 20s Crips gang and getting in trouble with the law. Luckily, his raps were discovered by Dr. Dre, who helped channel Snoop's talent into a career.
Still Snoop Dogg and D.I.
Guess who's back? His debut album, Doggy Style, became the fastest-selling rap album of all time, with almost 800,000 sold in the first week.
Everything is fine when you're listening to the D.O.G. I got the cultivating music that be captivating me.
Number 10, John Paul DeJoria.
Billionaire, co-founder of John Paul Mitchell Systems and Patron Tequila, John Paul DeJoria. Shall we have a little? Oh, thank you. Already getting bribed.
He's one of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, but it hasn't always been stocks, shares, and squillions in the bank for this guy.
I sold encyclopedias door to door when I was 19, 20, 21, and 22 years old for Collier's Encyclopedia.
Born in L.A., DeJoria and his brothers spent time in the foster care system as kids, and the guy behind Paul Mitchell Systems was even part of a street gang at one point.
You know so well, when we started, we had $700, made it day-to-day barely, but we believed what we did was the very, very best.
A single father struggling to make ends meet in his early 20s, he's now known as a leading philanthropist, rights campaigner, and all-around influential businessman. DeJoria did real good at life.
And John Paul DeJoria gave us a tour of his luxurious villa in Malibu with his sweeping staircase, 2,000-year-old floor tiles.
Number 9, Manny Pacquiao.
That Pacquiao, he's a smart boy. He runs the town.
There are plenty of rags to riches stories in boxing, but this man's rise to the top is especially incredible.
The brave heart of Morales holds up.
Forced to drop out of high school as a young teen in the Philippines due to extreme poverty, Pacquiao then moved to Manila and lived out on the streets. Brought to the ring as a boy, he proved a furious fighter, winning title after title in all manner of weight divisions.
If I go into politics, I believe that I can serve more, I can help more people.
Pacquiao also carries a career in politics, a side project in basketball, and a role within the Philippine Army.
Ayon kay Philippine Army Chief Lieutenant General Hernando Iriberri.
He's an unstoppable success story.
Manny Pacquiao.
Number 8, Jim Carrey.
Have you guys heard this one? Oh!
You laugh that way because you know you're wealthy. Is that?
I'm very wealthy, and that's
odd.
That's how wealthy people laugh.
He's one of the world's most well-known and well-loved comic actors. But life hasn't always been layered with laughter for Jim Carrey.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
The Canada-born comedian dropped out of high school aged 15. Such was the level of economic hardship heaped upon his family during Carrey's teenage years.
My name's Clementine, by the way.
I'm Joel.
Hi, Joel. No jokes about my name. Oh, no. You wouldn't do that. You're trying to be nice.
I don't know any jokes about your name.
He had to work as a janitor while his peers were passing final exams. It's difficult to see where exactly Carrey's caring for comedy came from, but we're sure glad it did.
So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it.
Number 7, Larry Ellison.
The opportunity in this country is astounding. Everyone who works hard and maybe a little cleverly has the opportunity to make almost anything possible.
At 9 months old, Larry Ellison was given up to his aunt and uncle for adoption.
When he was 12, his father bluntly gave him some surprising news.
My dad just said right before dinner, oh, by the way, you were adopted and we're having meatloaf tonight.
He didn't meet his biological mother again for 47 years, but in that time he turned less than humble beginnings into big, big winnings.
He's the samurai warrior of Silicon Valley.
Larry's attitude is, if you want to compete against me, then be prepared to be crushed.
A pioneer within the digital age despite dropping out of university twice, Ellison found his fortune as a Silicon Valley software developer.
I found that in a very short period of time I could make more money writing programs than a tenured professor at the University of Chicago.
With a reported $97.7 billion behind him. He's the 9th richest man in the world. In the league table of life, he's winning.
He's a high-flying adrenaline junkie and an unapologetic collector of expensive toys and real estate.
Number 6, Guy Laliberté.
Man, woman, or mule would fall for Guy Laliberté. He could charm anybody.
Having acquired an array of entertaining abilities during his youth, Canadian entrepreneur Guy Laliberté started out as a street performer and ended up a space tourist. As a young man, he was reaching for the stars. But in his case, the cliche actually came true.
I went there with $50 in my pocket, and I spent my first night in London on a bench. Every time now I go in London, I take a room which I have a view on this bench.
Co-founder of the Cirque du Soleil entertainment company, he brought busking to the big stage and made big money by doing so.
Thank you, everybody.
A psychedelic Barnum & Bailey with a personal worth of over $2.5 billion.
He spent some of that money on a 2009 mission to the International Space Station. His riches truly are out of this world.
Jacks Up from Guy Laliberté eliminates Bobby Baldwin in 7th place.
Number 5, Andrew Carnegie.
Andrew Carnegie rises from poor immigrant to successful businessman in just 13 years.
Those who go from rags to riches often want to give back, and that was very much the case with Andrew Carnegie.
His father is a handloom weaver, while his mother binds shoes for a few extra quid.
The Scottish-American steel mogul is credited as one of the modern world's first philanthropists who, at the time of his death, had donated almost 90% of his fortune, which totaled $11.8 billion at today's rate.
Carnegie made his fortune in the steel industry, controlling the most extensive integrated iron and steel operations ever owned by an individual in the United States.
Not bad for a chap who grew up in a one-room cottage in Dunfermline, Scotland.
The town was the medieval capital of Scotland.
Emigrating stateside in 1848, Carnegie's was an industrialized American dream, and it definitely came true.
Through the young life of Carnegie, his willingness to work hard, his perseverance, and his alertness soon brought great opportunities to him.
Number 4, Bridget Biddy Mason.
By the time she died in the 1890s, her estate at the time was $300,000, which in 1893 was a lot of money.
Another iconic entrepreneur within American history, Biddy Mason rose to success despite being enslaved at birth in 1818.
And the whites are dragging us around in chains and handcuffs to their new states and territories, believing we were made by our Creator to be an inheritance to them and their children forever.
She worked on plantations in Georgia, Mississippi, and South Carolina. At 18 years old, she was given to one Robert Smith and his bride as a wedding gift. However, in 1856, she won her freedom within the state of California.
Nobody claimed you. You could be a free person in California, but it was a kind of a catch-22.
From that point onwards, she was a nurse, midwife, businesswoman, church founder, rights campaigner, and charity worker.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
She started from below bottom, yet she was still a higher flyer than most, an incredible inspiration.
She was a wise investor. In 1888, her children were offered $200,000 for only a part of that property, and it continued to provide a solid future for all of Biddy's children and grandchildren.
Number 3, Jay-Z.
Pick any place on the planet, pick a show. Take what the falls figured, then figure more. Cause they forgot to account what I did with the fraud.
We return to more modern times for our first podium finisher, and to a musician who made it big despite a very modest background.
People, were afforded opportunities that we just didn't have. And I think that's really the difference between success and failure, is opportunity.
Jay-Z was known more simply as Sean Carter when he grew up in a Brooklyn housing project, was abandoned by his father, and was allegedly involved in selling street drugs.
From standing on the corners bopping, to driving some of the hottest cars New Yorkers ever seen, for dropping some of the hottest verses rappers ever heard.
He might have ended up on the wrong side of some very rough tracks, but Carter could make music, and that's how he'd make his fortune.
Get involved in things that you love, and also have a standard for yourself and have some sort of integrity and try to, find some sort of truth in what you're doing.
His is an empire state of mind that built an estimated net worth of $1.4 billion.
I'm the new Sinatra, and since I made it here, I can make it anywhere.
Number 2, J.K. Rowling.
How would you like to be remembered?
As someone who did the best she could with the talent she had.
Unlike many to make today's list, J.K. Rowling was not born into a bad situation, but rather suffered a string of bad situations in her 20s.
We were as skint as you can be without being homeless. In other words, we were existing entirely on benefits.
A short marriage, divorce, joblessness, and depression dogged her young adulthood.
And that's just characterized for me by a numbness, a coldness, and an inability to believe that you will feel happy again.
However, Harry Potter had announced himself into her imagination, apparently fully formed during a delayed train journey from Manchester to London.
It's true then, what they're saying on the train. Harry Potter has come to Hogwarts.
Rowling wrote and wrote some more, and the rest is history. Magical, money-making, hard times no more history.
What do you actually think money has done for you? What does it do?
It frees you. That's what it does, it frees you. That's why it's like a superpower.
In fact, her estimated worth is around $1 billion.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Oprah Winfrey.
I'm Oprah Winfrey, and welcome to the very first National Oprah Winfrey Show!
She's been nicknamed the Queen of all media, and she's our rags to riches winner. Oprah Winfrey suffered seemingly ceaseless hardships during her young life.
I had my father's voice in my ear, constantly. Well, you're making $22,000 and you're 22. Well, I don't know what else you want in the world. You better save half your money because you're not going to make that kind of money forever.
Born to a single teenage mother, she was abused by family members and close friends during childhood, had her poverty routinely rubbed in her face by other children, and lost a child of her own during her teenage years.
It's unimaginable that I would be standing before you, voted by the Board of Governors.
She's now one of the world's most recognizable and influential personalities.
Found me on the kitchen floor. I had passed out, drunk. I'd gone to the bathroom all over myself.
A TV and film star, author, businesswoman, and incredible philanthropist. Worth an estimated $2.6 billion. She has world records of wealth raining down upon her against all the odds.
That as great as the past 25 years have been, just astounding. I mean, really, the word awesome does apply. I think it was just the beginning.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.